What's up everybody, this is Chris with Cowdog Craftworks, and today you have to watch me turn this handle for a brass mallet in my first time unsupervised on the lathe. This was a pretty simple win with mistakes and all, so stick around and check it out. Alright, first order of business is to break down this piece of ambrosia maple here. I'm just ripping to square thickness and width, and then I'm going to cut a 10 to fit into the pen jaws on the chuck. I'm just using pen jaws because I didn't have any other chuck jaws at the time I filmed this, so that didn't really work out. I also ended up setting the blade a little bit too deep here, and I'm just going to have to recut it on the other side. Then I'm just going to use the tenon jig here and clear the rest of the material, and boom, got a tenon. So pretty much the first tip I got using the lathe was to make sure everything was tightened down and secure, so the head and tail stocks are getting a couple extra cranks to make sure everything is nice and solid. Next up, I'm trying to position the tool rest, which is kind of a per tool operation, so different tools are going to be positioned differently on the blank. I'm just lining up the gouge in the middle of the blank so the tool rest should be just below, and once again making sure everything is nice, tight, and secure. So mistake one happens right here where the tool rest was too close and the blank clipped it. Obviously don't do that. Then I'm just nervously trying to get the roughing gouge started, and after a bit of a bumpy start, you can see I got going. The brass mallet handles I've seen have a bit of a heavy taper like a baseball bat, so I'm just trying to roughly shape that here. And if you're looking carefully, you'll see my wish I wore the brown pants moment when the gouge caught. It's important to keep your tool on the rest and not reach off of it to work on another area, because when you reach off the rest, you lose that bottom support from the tool rest. I applied just a little too much pressure right about here, and that's a bit of an oopsie. If you're liking this video so far, follow along, like, comment, and subscribe below. Hit the bell for more notifications. If you want a little bit more of my daily content, I'm pretty heavy on Instagram and Facebook at Cowdog Craftworks, and you can also find me on Twitter doing a little bit of useless banter at Cowdog Craftwork with no S. And here I'm starting to use the parting tool. I'm trying to get a little bit of a mini tenon that's going to fit into the brass mallet head, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have good calipers, but I managed to make it work here. And I don't quite know the name of this tool. It sort of looks like a parting tool, but it's got skewed sides and the face is kind of angled back like a scraper. I started shaping the bottom with it and then learned that you can also burn wood on the lathe as well. And it's right about here where I realized that I forgot the entire proper way to hold a spindle gouge and to really do that little pull cut that's going to get a smoother surface. And I think you're going to see me in a second here also do some pushing as well. That is really the proper way to hold one of these gouges, and it really helps with stability and consistency in cut. And it's somewhere around here. It's kind of hard to tell from the angle where I'm switching from the spindle gouge to that rounded face scraper to get a better finished quality surface off the lathe and take care of some of that ribbed for her pleasure look that's going on in there. And then I just loosened up the tailstock, and I'm using my dovetail saw here to part the bottom off. And starting a little sandpaper here, I went from 150 to about 320. Ambrosia maple gets these little wormholes in them from time to time, so you got to use a little CA glue and activator to fill it, and that'll solidify everything. Then I'm going to turn the lathe back on and get back to sanding all the way back up to 320. And we're back on the dovetail saw here for our final part. I used a punch first and then a brad point bit to drill a hole for the threaded stud to mount the head. This is usually best done with a drill press, but I just kind of eyeballed it and used a small square to keep everything 90. Then I'm just going to use some of this quick epoxy and place the stud with the head on before clamping for 24 hours. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I'm a big fan of this pure tung oil, wipe-on poly, and boiled linseed oil finish. This is a variation on the Sam Maloof finish. So the step one is to have equal parts and blend it together, and then just wipe on and wipe off. Roll that yummy finish footage. And step two is a boiled linseed oil, tung oil, and beeswax blend that is also wiped on and wiped off. And then pretty much the final step is using some Loctite thread locker. I'm going to use red because I'm sort of into that permanency vibe, but this stuff is not going to move and that head is going to be fixed pretty much forever. And with that, I'm done. I'm pretty psyched on the handle for this brass mallet, which is going to get a ton of use knocking chisels in my shop, but I'm even more pumped on the possibilities with this mini lathe in my arsenal. If you guys have any suggestions on how to incorporate this into what I already do, let me know in the comments below. And thanks for tuning in, and see you next time here at Cowdog Craftworks.